So Pete is an Australian writer with hearing loss. He started writing songs from an early age, including 17 documentary soundtracks, from which most notable is John Noble's Tread Lightly on the Land. Peter has also written 3 novels, 6 feature film scripts, and 3 plays. In 2008, he was awarded a life membership of the Australian Cinema Pioneers, and in 2017, he founded the Bayside Writers Group to assist writers in getting published. Thanks so much for being with us, Pete.
Thanks very much. It's a pleasure to be here. When I was listening to what Grace had to say, I knew exactly where she was coming from, and music is always a huge part of my life, and always has been. And so when I started writing songs from a very early age, and from one rock band to another rock band, it's sort of, it was just the way it was. And I noticed just in the last, I'd say 15 years ago, I noticed that my hearing was not very good. It was starting to be affected by all the heavy percussion that I was constantly in recording studios, or when you're out on the road and doing shows and gigs, and you've got all this, you would call it noise, but we'd like to call it music, but it was sort of happening, and I just had to deal with that. And of course, I was in total denial. And there was just no way I was going to sort of admit to the other guys that there was something wrong with me, you know. And I was doing my best to lip read. But mostly I was there to do a lot of vocal work, and so I could just concentrate on what I had to do, get my job right, and stage stuff and recording studios and things like that. And it was, I found that I could just do it. But I noticed that because of my hearing, I'd be going flat in certain places. I would be maybe sharp or whatever it was, that my singing was really being affected by it. And I thought, well, I'll just do the best I can. You know, when you're on stage singing, it's sort of like it's done. You might sing a bit flat or whatever, but it's gone. It's over. But when you're in a recording studio, you've got to live with it for years, you know, and it's something you have to deal with, and so that's okay. But I noticed that I started to pull back in the bands that I was in, and let other people do most of the lead singing, and I'd do harmony work and things like that. It was my way of just coping with what I had. And it got to the point where I was very happy to just be on my own, and in a quiet room, a quiet space, and start writing. And so not only, I was always writing songs, so I mean, that was an obsessional thing. And I just do it. I don't even mean to do it. It just happens. And but then I started to write novels and plays and film scripts and things like that. And I thought, gee, even though my writing is probably Mills and Boonish, but at least I was getting it out there, and I was expressing something, and leaving a footprint, you know, for the future, whatever that is. As a legacy of something. And then I decided that it'd be great to share that with other people. And so from time to time, I would set up little songwriting clinics wherever I was, and when the situation occurred. And that was fine, you know, just to help young songwriters to get their lyrics in order, to find out what harmony is, and just little techniques and things like that, and some recording techniques as well. And I found that very fulfilling. And I set up 4 years ago a writers group called the Bayside Writers Group. And we show how easy it is to to put pen to paper, to get words out, to publish and be published, get novels out, get poetry into books and anthologies and things like that, and to help writers who have probably gone through their whole life as a frustrated poet or a frustrated songwriter or whatever, and never had anybody take any sort of time to listen to them and a belief system, you know, that they could actually be published. And we're not talking about the literary giants or anything, but we're just talking about people who in everyday life who would just like to show to their family and grandchildren or whatever that they had that ability and they had a story in them. Because I believe everybody's got a story in them. And it's just a matter of having the ability to get it out. When I was introduced to Soundfair, I was a bit sort of, you know, sus about the whole thing. I thought, you know, I think the timing was right though, because I had sort of got to that point where I thought, well, I should do something about it. It was really affecting, it was isolating me a lot from conversations and from, you know, social engagements and things like that. And I know that with my wife, I had selective hearing, but that was always on. But apart from that, I knew that it was time to do something about it. And I found the people there extremely helpful, and they helped me to get over this phobia that I had about wearing a hearing aid. And as a matter of fact, I prefer it now because of the Bluetooth and all these great things that are involved in it. I can hear, you know, music coming through my hearing aids better than what I would hear it, you know, like on speakers and things like this because of the fidelity. And there is a problem, of course, in the studio recording vocals, because the vocals don't sound the way that I used to sound. There is a different timbre about it, but I sort of got used to it in the last year about how to get around that because I have a good memory of what it used to sound like. And so I'm believing that that's the way it is. And even though I'm hearing through the sound of the hearing aid a little bit different, but overall, it has improved my standard of life and living, you know, a great deal. And I'm still doing all the things that I used to do. I don't gig anymore. I still write music and go into the recording studios with friends and write songs for other groups and things like that. And I have the writers group and the various other things that I do. But the hearing aids have made a big difference, and I say thanks to Soundfair, and it's been a great thing. Thank you.